around here, like in a bad
This
way.
meeting. So are we live now? Is that what's happening?
We are live right now. So
let's give the people what they want. Let's give the people what they want.
Keep yourself in check for just a moment. All right, here we go.
Are you outside, Ninja?
Does that look like outside?
I mean, sort of looks like your garage, maybe.
Wow. I mean, that's my home office. So yeah, we are. Yeah, we're live right now. So we make sure our live stream is up. I think it is.
How do we know who's joined the live stream?
Well, that's what I'm doing now. Okay, calm down.
I mean, 4 participants. And I get over 300 when I talk about ATMs to banks. Nobody gives a shit about that.
All right, yeah, we're good. All right.
Jen, your wine was a smart idea.
I was like, yeah. I think I'm going to run out pretty fast.
All right. Okay, so before we get started, we have some minor housekeeping items. So we need to remind people about our Top Out Adventures trip to Leadville for the people that are interested. Going on July 15th to the 19th to Leadville, led by Top Out. So you just got to get there yourself, and food and lodging is provided. They'll pick you up at the airport. We'll put the details in the show notes. That sounds very professional. And but all the event is also in our Facebook group if you need to find it there. And don't forget, we are doing a Lost Loop Challenge on Saturday. So come out to, sorry, I'm trying to get a different screen up. So come out to Cross Timbers and run a whole bunch and see if you can get a 50K if you want. So kind of, oh God. I
What? I completely missed that. What?
Move the metal.
Move the metal. The shirt, Jen.
Oh no.
Which is actually entirely untrue. I am coachable. In fact, in 1997, I won the coaches award. I won the coaches award for my club soccer team. So that's proof. I have a plaque somewhere. I was going to bring it to the podcast. But that's proof that I am coachable. But I did make you a shirt, Ninja, that says,
"Thank you,
uncoachable."
I think that's up for debate.
Yeah.
I think that's probably up for debate. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Both events are in the Facebook group. Let's see. Jess is not on, so for the, for our viewing
Be on in a
audience,
minute.
We'll introduce Greg, what was I gonna say? The star of the show for this one. Just completed Cruel Jewel 100 a couple weeks ago, and his crew is here. Eric Kinnemer, the first pacer, and head crew chief Colleen right there, the machine. Ignore the Michelle Kinnemer Zoom thing. She's there in the background somewhere. I'm gonna hand it off to Jen now that the introductions are done. Since Jen's gonna lead, since I was actually there and I'm part of the crew, so we're gonna let Jen run the show here. So here you go, Jen.
And we all know how excited that makes me.
Yeah.
Okay, Greg, what is your endurance? Well, I mean, I guess I'll refer to the other Greg as Ninja so we don't get confused. Yeah. What is your endurance and training background?
Oh my.
Start.
Not very much of a background, I would say. So let's see. I've done some half marathons and a marathon or two. I retired from both of those things 6 or 7 years ago. And then we moved to Dallas about 5 years ago. I decided to get back on the bike a little bit. And I was doing that just on my own, trying to go out and get 60, 70 miles. Did a few rides with various bike groups. We'll kind of get to that later. And then I just kind of showed up one day at an open water swim that some Facebook group, I don't even know which one it is now, but some Facebook group sponsors. Kind of showed up like a lost puppy dog to that. And Eric and Michelle kind of took me in, and I never left. Never left the group. Then we picked up another stray dog, Colleen, a couple of years ago, and now we're team having fun. But in terms of endurance training and those types of things, most of what I've done over the past few years has really been centered on triathlon. So most of the training's on a bike. I don't run very much, to be honest with you.
So what made you choose Cruel Jewel?
That's a great question. Now we're getting to the meat of the discussion here. So as I talked about, like I don't really run that much because I don't enjoy it, to be honest with you. It's not my thing. Much better at the bike. Enjoy that a little bit more. So all summer last year, focused mostly on training for like various 70.3 half Ironmans, those kinds of things. My wife, on the other hand, who will be joining us once the kids are asleep, loves to run, loves ultras, loves all of it. Super into it. And she signs me up for things without me knowing it. So she signed me up for, one of the things that she signed me up for was 50K in Georgia last fall. And so I reluctantly went and did it. It was actually pretty fun. It was different. And it just so happened that a chunk of that was covering the Cruel Jewel course. And then Jessica actually redid that section with me during the race. And so I came back, thought about maybe doing the 50 miler at Cruel Jewel. And then the Dream Maker, hashtag the Dream Maker Ninja, and you, I think if we're being honest, Jen, cyberbullied me into signing up for the 100-mile distance. And we'll get to like how all that worked out and why it worked out and all those types of things. But at the end of the day, I wanted to do the 56 miler. And lo and behold, I found myself peer pressured, forced into doing the 100 miler. And that's how it happened.
I really forgot my role in that until like after you
There's a screenshot of it.
Commented on that thread. I was like, oh wow, I forgot all about that.
That's exactly right. So I want to do the 56 miler. I want to do the 56 miler. I put that on Facebook, and Ninja responded back immediately. That sounds good. Jess and I can do the 100 miler. And from there, it was just like this peer pressure, this whole thing that forced my hand. The Dream Maker, hashtag Dream Maker, at it again. But hey, here we are. We did it.
And then you had like, okay, so you had to run a qualifying 100 miler, right?
Indeed, I did.
And so you chose Dino Valley because that was quite literally the last option.
The only option. That's exactly right.
So how long did you train for Dino Valley?
I didn't train. That's not the word I would use.
Well, you did a 70.3, Greg.
Yeah. I did a 70.3. That's right.
Yeah, but what was the difference in time between when you decided to sign up for Cruel, or when you realized you had to have a qualifier, and when Dino Valley actually happened? Like, what was the period of time? It was like
I think it was 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
But the hashtag Dream Maker laid out a training plan that we all at the time thought would work out, which doesn't make any sense. But so yeah, that's what happened. Prior to signing up for that, let's see, I'd done, I think, 170.3, as Colleen mentioned, and I think Colleen and I ran some sort of military sponsored half marathon in Keller, something. There were Army men, they were marching, there was push-ups.
You actually did two 70.3s last year. So technically
I did too.
Full Ironman. Yeah.
Well, and you
Oh, there you go.
You did a full Wisconsin. Oh, you mean leading up to
Leading
Dino.
up to
All
it,
right.
yeah, because you did.
Oh yeah, 2019 I did the full. Yeah.
We did the terrible half marathon, and then we did Lubbock, and then you did Kerrville.
That's
So
right.
that-
Well, Lubbock and Kerrville. I forgot about Lubbock. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
there you
thinking
go.
about Kerrville. Yeah. So I did 270.3s, which is it's a total of 26 miles of running, and then I did the other half marathon. It's another 13. I do remember Jen. We were running out at Irwin, and I was like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. And then I did say, I was like, listen, I probably ought to get like at least one good 3.5 hour run. And you were like, yeah, that's probably a good idea to like try to get that in. But at this point, you know, what's it going to matter?
Yeah.
And you were right. There's really no way to make up for
cram.
3-4 months of training in 3
You
weeks.
can't cram for a 100 miler. You just can't.
No.
So,
But go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
But it ended up being the best thing for me in the in the way that all these things work out, right? So there's no better training for running 42 hours at Cruel Jewel than to spend 32 hours running 100 miles at Dino Valley. So when you do it that way, the thought of Cruel Jewel wasn't daunting at all, right? I mean, you only got to run 8-10 more hours and you've got Cruel Jewel licked, right? So now in a perfect world, you don't spend 32 hours in your first 100. But you know, in a perfect world, you probably train for it.
Let's talk about
what's the fun? What's the fun in training? I mean, come on.
Exactly. With training
Talk
comes
about
expectations. I don't want that.
talk about Dino Valley. Just a little brief synopsis on how that went, because there's some good stories out of that.
Yeah. Dino Valley, man.
10-hour
Yeah,
low
it's one of
point.
those courses that
Right.
yeah.
And
It was, I think as hard as it was on me, I think it was harder on the crew. Who, by the way, was the same crew as Cruel Jewel. So, man, I had never run at night before or run tired or anything like that. And as soon as about 10:30, 11 o'clock hit, that was really it. And unfortunately for me, that was at about mile 55, which for the math majors out there is barely halfway. And it got really difficult, really slow. I just hadn't run enough. Like I just wasn't ready to run 100 miles is the long and the short of it. And it's a looped course. So you do 10 loops and you ended up at about 100 miles. And it's really more of an out and back. It's not even a loop. It's really like a 5-6 mile out and back with like a little lollipop on the end. And it was hard. I mean, I did pretty good until mile 50, and I'd never really run any further than that except for once or twice actually. And you know, at the end of the day, I didn't want to be out there at all because I really just wanted to run Cruel Jewel. So it's hard to, you know, keep doing that when you didn't really want to be there in the first place. And you feel like it's just kind of this annoyance that you had to do this in order for them to allow you to try to run Cruel Jewel. Right. But we did it. It took 32 hours. There was a lot of pouting. There was a lot of grumpiness. I mean, generally speaking, I'm a pretty easygoing, laid back person. Super flexible. But when I start to get tired and deep into a race, I get grumpy and I get stubborn and I'm difficult to be around.
That's so hard.
That's all the time.
It's not all the time.
So, how did you train differently for 33,000 feet of vert?
Oh, it's a great question. So, on the treadmill, that was really it. So I continued the bike training. Like I still maintain all of that, still crushing Ninja every time we go out. And I added in treadmill work, right? So 4 days a week ish. I'd hop on the treadmill with a weight vest, try to stay around 20% grade, and then every now and again get a little interval in at 25% and try to stay around 3 miles an hour. And then one of the things I did with maybe a couple of weeks left to go before my taper started, I looked at one of the things that Jessica looks at for training, and I started doing some intervals there with like like a little hiking with the weight vest, and then take the weight vest off and then run as fast as you can for 5 minutes and put it back on and walk. And
That's good.
I would do that for like an hour and a half on the treadmill, but I only got to do it a few times because I didn't find out about it until, it was too late.
No, that's a good workout though. Well, I mean, at least you trained for Cruel Jewel.
I did. I trained. I took it seriously. I tried hard. Right. I was. I think most of the feedback has been that my attitude was way better for Cruel Jewel than it was for Dino Valley. I actually never really hit any low points, like really low points during Cruel Jewel. There wasn't a doubt that I was really gonna finish. It was just a matter of how long it was gonna take. And that was it. So training makes a difference.
Did you have some injury challenges that you had to work around during the training?
Yeah. And it's still not better. So I got to figure out what to do about that. Nothing has really helped, unfortunately. Not usually. I give Ninja a hard time on all sorts of nonsense things that he comes up with and whatever. I do my own thing, but I've literally tried all the things anybody has brought to me, and nothing helps. So I had generally speaking, anytime I start trying to bring in a lot of verticality to my workouts, anytime I'm asking my left leg to pull a little bit more than push, things get bad. And so in late December, I had like what I thought was just like a hamstring thing that was occurring from climbing too much on the treadmill. And I just kind of ignored it. It hurt, but like it wasn't impacting workouts or anything like that. Then a couple of months later, started to kind of really flare up, and I couldn't really lift my leg more than 6 or 7 inches off the ground, just kind of standing with it straight. Tried massage. I went to a chiropractor, which was different. And really did everything. The massage was probably the best thing that I could do, tried to do. But I mean, it's still kind of jacked up, but I mean, at the end of the day, training for things like this hurts. So it's not really that big of a deal. Right.
Well, it kind of is.
Look, had I had more time, I probably would have tried to figure out what was wrong. But I mean, if you go to the doctor,
dry needle
here
that,
we go.
That hamstring. Have you tried that?
Have I tried what?
Dry needling.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The chiropractor had lots of dry needling. Yeah.
Yeah. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
It works though. It works for me.
Jessica loves it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. When it was my calves, I loved it.
No. Oh, I didn't go to my guy for I used COVID as an excuse because I was like, oh, COVID. I shouldn't be going down there. No. It was really because I didn't want him to stick those needles in my calves, and I just used that as an excuse. So I finally started going back in March, like 2 years later.
There you go.
Yeah. Do you have any travel challenges?
Yeah, we did. Generally speaking, I'm a pretty good traveler, but I mean, Atlanta, the rental car situation. I'm not sure who was running that operation. It's a total mess. So we get there, and the train to get to the rental car center, it's just not working at all. Like it's not there. There's literally just trains stopped on the track. There's nothing is happening. Okay, that's not a big deal. Huge. It's not a big deal. I've got to run 100 miles the next day anyway, so like I can walk a little. That's not a problem. There's no way to walk there. There is no backup plan that the Atlanta airport has in place to deal with this situation. It's the most ridiculous thing. It was absurd. And so what we ended up doing is trying to hike there twice. That failed. Went back up to the train. That failed. So then we had to call an Uber. As the crow flies, it's 1/4 of a mile from where we needed to be to where we were. It's 1/4 of a mile. It was a $36 Uber ride.
Oh my God.
So we finally get there. We finally get there to the rental car center, and the place is virtually empty, except for the place that I rented my car from. And there had to have been at least 300 people in line to get their cars. And it was not moving. It wasn't like nothing was progressing at all.
It was a Disneyland ride in August. I mean, just standing there.
It was just standing. So good news is I've been through this exact same thing the last time we rented a car and we went to Phoenix.
It's true.
And so the pro move in this situation is to remember that in almost all instances when you rent a car, it's not like a plane ticket. It's not like they're going to charge you for that. It's not a hotel, right? It's not like they're going to charge you for that. So you cancel that thing immediately, and then you go rent from somebody who's open, right? And it ended up being cheaper, and we skipped most of the line, although the donkeys at Enterprise still took forever. But, we got there, finally got our car, went and had a fantastic lunch at the OK Cafe. Just happened to be right next to the apartment that we used to live in Atlanta. And then we drove up there to Blairsville and encountered another just scary situation with the neighbors, and just was a whole thing. Was terrified.
I heard about the neighbors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got a picture.
Hearing about the neighbors.
Yeah, we got pictures.
I've seen pictures. So let's recap the race from mile 1 to 50. So what was going on between mile 1 and 50?
Well, so first 3 miles is not that big of a deal. You're just running. There's a campground involved. It's not that big of a deal. You get a bunch of people racing. They're passing you. You know for a fact that they're probably not even going to finish because of how hard they're going out. I mean, it's just they're all full fired up, all that stuff, right? That all kind of evens out. And from 3 to, let's call it 25, is really hard. It's the dragon spine. And that's where the majority of the difficult climbs are in the race, the climbs, the descents. It's also one of the more technical parts of the course. You don't really realize how technical it is on the way out. You kind of feel that out on the way back. So it was challenging, but I guess the way I broke it up in my head was that I was excited about it, right? Like that part, the first 25 miles after hearing Ninja talk about it, over the course of the last 6 months or so, and reading a lot of reviews and just hearing other people talk about it, I knew that would be very, very difficult. I was looking forward to 2 things. I was looking forward to that first 23 miles where I knew that challenge would be, I'd see it for the first time, I'd feel it for the first time. Then I was even more looking forward to on the way back and having to tackle the same 23 miles, right? Just because of how hard everyone said it would be. And for some reason I was able to use that and be excited about that. So to be honest, it was hard. And there were parts during that first 25 where I was like, yeah, this is a little tougher than I thought it would be, but it wasn't that bad. It flew by. I was excited still. And I think maybe one of the big things was, at mile 25, you get to see your crew for the first time. And then you get to see your crew, I think 3 more times after that in a row. And so I knew if I could just get there, I'd have a nice stretch there where I was basically just running for a couple hours at a time and then seeing my crew. And it's just, kind of turns a little more into a party. Different. Yeah, it's different. Yeah. So we got there. You essentially get to Skeena Gap at 25. Maybe it's Wilsket. I'm not sure, but saw my crew. Was still feeling good, and so then it was basically for the next few aid stations. It was just run for a couple hours, get to the aid station, see everybody, try to eat something. Had a hamburger that was delicious, and you try to get through that, just sort of through that stretch. I will say I was a little worried about nutrition because the aid stations typically are, raved about, but there's really nothing there. There was grilled cheeses and there were chips and stuff like that. That was it throughout the entirety. It didn't matter what time of day it was. There was never any other options or offerings that I saw until we came Ninja to Fire Pit, I think, and they had hot dogs. Those were really good. Yeah, and those were good.
See, Jen, you hear that?
Yeah, I can't embrace that, but
So you roll through these aid stations, right? And we're going. I'm seeing my crew. I'm excited. Eric, I didn't get to see you during this part. I don't think at all, because I think you were doing exactly what you were supposed to do. You were sleeping.
Yeah, I got there at 2:30 the morning before.
Yeah. You were resting up. It was pretty painless. The only time I got a little down, haven't talked to Colleen about this, was the last time I saw them, which was just you two. I think it was Jessica and Colleen. And I was really loving, like, I'm gonna go run for a couple hours and I'm just gonna see everybody and we're just gonna keep doing this, right? And it never dawned on me that there would come a time, right, where I was gonna have to run by myself for close to another, I think 21, 20, 22, 23 miles or something like that. And so it's the last one and I'm feeling good. I'm it's dark finally, right? And I'm feeling okay. And Colleen goes, okay, we'll see you about 4:30. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what? What do you mean 4:30? I look at my watch and it was not 4:30. It was, it was like 10 hours away. I mean, I was just like, what do you mean? I'm not going to see anybody for, what do you mean? And then I picked up, a group of about 10 people, and we ended up running throughout the night together for the most part. So that made it manageable. It's funny how in times like that, people kind of find each other. Nobody wants to be by themselves all night long and, doing that kind of thing. So, ran from there to, there's mostly, there's a big chunk of road section that comes after that, which sounds nice and sounds good, but man, it sucked. It sucked. It just sucked because you in your mind, you're thinking I should be in an 8-minute pace right now. Like I know I can run right now, but I shouldn't, or I can't, or whatever the case might be. And you're basically going a little faster than you were on the trails, but not much faster. Yeah. So that's sometimes a little bit difficult to deal with, but, I don't know. Then there's this weird loop section that happens, but it really wasn't that bad.
For no reason.
No, that's not yet. We're not there yet. That's bullshit. That whole section is, man, it's cruel and it sucks. That is a shitty part of the race. We'll get to that in the second 50, but man. And so then, just kept rolling, kept eating, kept drinking. Mostly, in terms of hydration on the first half, it was spring energy. A lot of spring energy, especially the electro ride, the hydration thing. I had like a little mini 11-ounce bottle, so I had that thing mixed in there, so it was really super concentrated. It tasted like a ginger beer. It was good. I was crushing it all day long. Shout out to Spring Energy if you guys need an ambassador. I don't have any social media following, but generally speaking, people like me.
Yeah, you wouldn't work out. Sorry.
Yeah. Maybe a discount code or something.
Yeah.
Those electro rods are high
if
end.
you're talking about it, Elaine did ask a question. She wanted to know about your nutrition, and you already touched on it a little bit. So she wanted to know what you plan for and were there any surprises. So
for nutrition,
I know you were carrying an electro ride and you had your spring gels. So I know you're going to rely on the aid station some, but was there anything that kind of threw you for a loop, or other than not having the Chick-fil-A sandwiches that I talked about?
That's where I was going, because you had promised me there was going to be a Chick-fil-A sandwich at Skeena Gap, and there was nothing.
Yeah.
They did have hamburgers at Skeena Gap, though. I don't think anybody saw it. You'd already had food.
No, it was a hamburger that you guys bought me at Burger King.
Making burgers.
They didn't make anything for me.
Well, because you had they were making burgers.
Because that stupid loud guy was there the whole time at Skeena Gap.
Oh, thank you for all the volunteers.
Yes, thank you.
I don't think he wasn't helping anybody.
Unless you were loud.
Screaming at people. So what else?
Not the guy that was trying to pick up spectators, right?
No.
Showing off his big buckle.
Yeah, he was showing his buckle off and saying, like, why are you sitting down? The finish is that way. Like, what are you talking about? Just go stand somewhere else. Go get me a hamburger. So nutrition wise, I'm trying to remember what I did. So I did like Lar bars and spring energy, and then the electro ride. That's what I did. The thing that threw me for a loop was Ninja being wrong about the Chick-fil-A sandwiches. That was probably the biggest thing. And that was it, man. I just kept eating. You're actually like, you're not burning that many calories if you're trained right. Like my average heart rate was probably like 155 maybe, which is pretty low for me. Usually much higher than that during an ultra.
That's low for you?
Yeah.
You're a freak.
Yeah. So I didn't burn that many calories, and the electro ride's got some calories in it. So.
All right. Well, what about the second 50?
Second 50 is where it gets fun. So I picked up Eric. So I think it's good time to like talk about like why everybody had the role they had on the team, right? So the goal was for Eric to be first, right? Now I think that I was being a little optimistic in thinking that Eric and I would run overnight together. There would be a period where I'd pick up Eric at say 2 a.m. and we would have to run through that really, really difficult time from like 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Right. Yeah. And he and I had done that before at Dino Valley, and I knew he was the guy for that. Right. Also, I knew that the second afternoon, Colleen, who was crew chief, would at that point probably start to fade a little bit and get tired. Eric would be able to have a nap in him and be, his normal logistics, driven sort of person, and having all the little things taken care of and those kinds of things. So in my mind, that's how I thought it was going to work. Turns out that I didn't get to the halfway point till 4:30. So Eric and I ran basically from dawn till, I don't know, probably like noon or something like that. Not quite noon, maybe 11 o'clock. And so Eric and I tackle mentally, I think maybe one of the most challenging parts of the race, right? So most of it is pretty easy. There's a loop in there that's no big deal. There's a big chunk of road that's in there, but you also tackle the out and back that is there for no other reason than to be cruel, right? It's where the name of the race kind of comes from, right? And it's a 3 mile down into a creek, basically a creek bed. And it's really, 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 really steep. And this occurs at, I don't know, Eric, what do you think? Like mile 65, maybe something like that. It's steep. And at this point, all the 50 milers are catching us because we were not in a fast portion of the race, unfortunately. And you're just climbing down and down and down. And it just takes forever to get down there. And then you got to climb back out, and the climb's pretty tough. It's a really busy section of the course because you've got all the 50s. There's a lot of two-way traffic, and it just sucks. It just absolutely sucks. But you finally climb up out of that, and you got a couple of miles to go to descend again to mile 70, I think 69 maybe,
69.
where I picked up Jessica. And that was the first part of Jessica was pretty good. It was pretty easy. Started to fade a little bit in the middle. But that's where you're starting to get towards, 25, 26, 27 hours in. So you're starting to get a little bit of fatigue set in terms of just being tired and wanting to sleep, little sleepiness. So I tried to lay down and take like a trail nap, those kinds of things. It didn't work. There were too many bugs. And it just, like, in general, people kept passing by and asking if it just didn't work. You couldn't get any peace and quiet, like none of that. So, I don't know. I feel like I just blew through the first 25 miles of the mile 50 through 75. Is there any other like details you want there? Like what?
I don't know. It's just.
Let's hear Eric.
Eric, what do you think about the section?
I I thought it was gorgeous. There's one thing that he enjoys is hearing me say how pretty everything is. You know, every fern, every tree, every piece of blue sky. He loves for me to tell him.
You didn't miss one. You didn't miss one fern.
I didn't. And there were so many. I was delighted that he was moving so well and was his usual charming self. I mean, he was just personality and just was having fun. And that was awesome to see. He was still having fun at that point.
I think one of the most
different from Dino Valley.
Oh. Yeah, he wasn't having fun at Dino Valley.
Nobody was having fun. Nobody was having fun at Dino Valley.
He was enjoying the moment here. He was truly enjoying it. Yeah, no, he was grumpy and just he was not happy at Dino Valley. He was tired.
It was brutal.
So there were a couple of times during Cruel Jewel that I really enjoyed, like it was good. And one of them was I don't know why. How we kind of broke away, but it was just Eric and I was out in the woods running with my buddy for a few miles. It didn't last that long, but that was fun. Ninja and I got to run a little bit like that too as well, and you and I got some as well because we stopped at that porta potty for a break, and no one else did. So yeah, that in my mind that was probably the most enjoyable time, was when it was just me and the pacer, and we were just running in the woods, just friends, just doing that. That was a good sort of mental break from the whole thing.
Eric, any other takeaways?
We paired up with well, I guess there was some guys that he had run with for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles, and so there was chatter back and forth with those cats. I know that Greg really enjoyed having them along for about 102 of the 108 or so miles that you ran.
So it's a tricky situation, right? Company's good, right? But 100 miles of the same people, right? It gets challenging, right? I'm sure I'm probably the biggest offender of that. My God, I can't imagine running with me for that. I can't imagine even being around me for that long. That sounds genuinely terrible, right? But you know what? It was good. Made some new friends, learned a shitload about non-pileated woodpeckers. There was just an amazing amount of like information that was shared between like groups of 10, 12 people, right?
Yeah.
Christoph.
Talk about nonsense.
Christoph and I ran for, I mean, my God, I think it was probably close to 100 miles. And there was a guy named Brandon that ran with us as well. And then at other points, we probably had a group of close to 10 of us on that first overnight. And that helps. I mean, sure. Are you always talking about things that, you necessarily find meaningful or relevant? No, but, what else
you can do? That it was impressive on some of these climbs. Like you mentioned the 3 mile down and the 3 mile back up, that he had already had we said that was around mile 60, 65.
Something like that. Yeah.
That I'm working hard. We're moving at a good clip, and him with those miles already on his legs and with, the dragon spine, that he was just right behind me the entire time, climbing as hard as I was. And just didn't seem any worse for the wear. It was absolutely impressive.
That's impressive.
Because
I tried to stay on the climbs. I tried to stay no matter what. I tried to stay at around tried to stay around an 18 and a half minute pace, right, on the climbs. And that if there was something I know I need to work on, it's just running in general. Because it like I could pass people, I could catch people on all the ascents. But then even on flat ground, everybody would just catch back up to me. So I got to figure out a way to just run better, run faster. I think would be something to work on. But good news is Cruel Jewel, there's not a lot of running, a lot of hiking,
Power hiking, Greg.
A lot of power hiking.
So Eric, what about 23?
What's that?
What about 23?
23.
I think I'm going to take a crack at it.
Oh,
he's going.
Well, you've got to now because you said it.
I know. No,
He's got to.
I was truly inspired watching him grind it out. And he did not complain a single time. And it was horrific seeing how tired he was, but the inspiring part was bigger. So as soon as it was over, I knew that I wanted to do it also. Ninja's got his buckle. He's got his Cruel Jewel buckle. I'm going to take a shot.
It's going to be good. We'll all be back. We'll all go back to that fraudulent state of Georgia. Let me explain why I said fraudulent. I saw almost the entirety of the state on foot.
Oh God!
Not one goddamn peach tree. Not one peach tree.
We did get texts about this during the race. Just let it be known, like throughout the races. I still haven't seen a goddamn peach tree.
Yeah.
Do peaches grow in the mountains? Do peach trees grow in the mountains?
It's on their license plate, Jen. Who cares if they grow? It's on the license plate.
I know they're the peach state or whatever. But
they talk about it all the time.
Yeah, but the whole state isn't mountains.
Right. I think there's fields of it somewhere. Like
where?
Not in the mountains.
In Orchard. Orchards
Right.
aren't in the mountains.
I've been all over the state. All over the
Let
state.
me tell you, you can find boiled peanuts anywhere you go.
That's probably true. That's probably true. So they should put that on the license plate.
That is the thing. Like you can find boiled peanuts anywhere you go. All right, Jess, what about you? What about when you picked him up?
So when I picked him up, I actually knew a little bit of the course because we signed up back in October. Well, I signed us up for a 50K in Blue Ridge Mountains, and I was looking for races online, and I said, oh, here's a race that no one really knows anything about. It says 6,000 feet of vert. Like, I don't know if it means the whole thing. We have no idea. So we went out and did that. And so when I picked him up, it was about 4 miles of road that we had done. So it was 4 miles of road. And then we basically started on this bridge in the 50K we did in October. And the
gorgeous, you cross over the Toccoa.
Yeah. We went right over the bridge that we started on. And then we went up the same place we went up for this. So I knew I probably did the first 7 miles before I knew it. So, as Eric said, it's beautiful. And watching him too, it was great. Like he was in good spirits. He was moving well after his little 2-minute power nap. He started running. He was running at least a 12-minute pace. And he did
12?
that. Yeah. You were running. And
I know.
strong.
I know. It's probably 9.
Okay. Well, I'm sure it felt like it was 9.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I was flying past all the 50 milers. I know that.
It was a good 5s. He was moving very well. So it was and it's a great course.
For 5 minutes.
It was, but he had a good attitude. It was when we would break away, it was really great. So we had people too with us. And so it was great. It's a fun race.
Yeah. You guys took your kids with you, right?
We did. My mom lives outside of Atlanta. So
Canton.
Yeah, she lives in Canton. So she took care of the kids and they came and saw us at the aid station he dropped me at. So
I think anybody who knows us or is around the ultra community in North Texas probably knows our kids too, because they come to everything.
They come to a lot.
And they're not shy.
We're quiet.
I think my son is unfortunately banned from Dino
I
Valley.
heard they pull up markers and stuff.
That's exactly right.
Maybe
He's
even
banned.
me, because I got to talk him to as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, he's banned. But they come to everything. They're great. They love it. It's kind of strange, but we're proud because all the other kids at school talk about just nonsense, like whatever it is 6-year-olds do or talk about, right? And Connor is talking about Cruel Jewel. Like he's talking about my dad's going to do Cruel Jewel next week. It's going to be 111 miles. What's funny is what comes back is the other kids will also say and be like, yeah, Oliver's dad's doing Cruel Jewel too. I'm like, oh, is that right? Oliver's dad's he's going to be in Blairsville next week. That's interesting.
Wow.
He's like,
crazy.
yeah.
Oh, funny. So what's it like pacing a spouse? This usually is not a recipe for success. I got to say, most of the time you do not want a spouse pacing or
Let's hear the secret to making this work.
Yeah. So tell us the secret. Jessica's a hard ass. I already know this.
You can't talk.
So I think we have to talk about the fact that it's not always successful, right? So
Yeah.
we've done it for a 50 miler where we stayed together for the most part. Although she had just had a child and had to stop at mile 25 for a half hour to pump. And that to me that's a pretty impressive thing to do. So she stopped for 30 minutes, pumped, finished pumping, then got back out on the course and did the other 25 miles. We were successful there.
We ran together for a long time.
We've run together for a long time. So we DNF'd, we both DNF'd at Rocky the 100. And Eric, when did you do it? 2020?
21. Was it
21.
Yeah.
21. Yeah, January 21, right? February, maybe.
February.
We DNF'd that. I think hindsight, and maybe if our friends had been a little more honest with us, it was a stupid thing to try to do, to run your first 100 miler without any pacers or crew and just try to stay together to finish it, because I got separated for probably 6 minutes and I DNF'd in minute 7. I was just basically like, the hell with this. Like, this is stupid. Like, I'm going home. Yeah. Like
I made it another lap at least, but yeah.
So I looked at my watch, saw that I was at mile 62, decided to run to 63. So it'd be a personal record. And then just hitchhiked back to, I'll try to make it back to Nature Center and then hitchhike back from Nature Center to the thing where I handed them my timing chip, and boy, howdy, wouldn't you know, they handed me a buckle because I had run 63 miles, which I cannot believe that. I think we threw them away, but they gave us a buckle.
Jen has some opinions on this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of that. I just,
I didn't care.
It is an accomplishment. I mean, you did make that distance, but I don't know. For me, like if you set out for something on the day and you have the option to drop lower and still get a finish, I don't know. To me, you haven't really achieved what you set out to achieve.
I agree 100%.
I made it to mile 80. Where's the buckle for mile 80? I get a 60.
Same buckle.
I know. So I mean,
so what?
It was really
ran.
like, yeah. So
Sometimes people get trophies for that.
You ran 18 miles that you shouldn't have.
I know, right?
So
yeah, I remember y'all because I was out there and Greg's like, "Hey, do you want to go out and pace?" And I was like, "No, I'm sorry."
Well, I hooked up with another girl, and we ran the whole the 4. I can't remember how many laps it was at that point. It was
5.
4. Yeah, it was the 4th lap, and then it was just and then I was hurt. My shin, everything swelled. The next day it was black and blue, and.
You probably didn't need to finish that race.
No, so it was a smart decision. But if I had stayed with her, maybe, because it was kind of like having a pacer, because it was somebody new and fresh to talk to for 20 miles.
Yeah, I think knowing what we know now, having pacers is a good thing. Having a crew is a good thing. Just trying to have a buddy to run the race with that's also never run 100 miles, that's not a good plan to try to finish your first race. Right?
I agree. You guys are learning a lot.
We are.
We learn fast.
So speaking of crew chief, Colleen, how was it?
Machine!
Crew chief.
So, it's awesome. I'm very lucky. I get to be there. I get to have fun. But I don't have to run.
You want to be in the?
I don't have to work hard, so that's kind of nice.
Oh, it is hard work.
Well,
it's hard.
It's hard work.
Now, I'll be honest.
You had to wash my feet.
It's hard. I would wash your feet again. Yeah. So, it's to me, I take the responsibility very seriously because I don't want my foobar, to derail his race. And so fortunately, we had a ninja spreadsheet, which, my God, I had a clipboard because I'm professional that way. And so we had ninja spreadsheet, and there's no way for me to do anything wrong with it. It was literally dummy, you need to be here. And people, it was interactive. You would click on it and it would tell me
where to go.
Google Maps.
Yep.
And
that's impressive.
And we're in rural Georgia.
Rural
Georgia, right? And so that was really nice to have because it's not a place I wanted to get lost at 4 a.m. Or 10 p.m. or really even 2 p.m. I just did not. So, I mean, it's an honor that Greg trusted me enough to be the crew chief, so I'm like, okay, I got my spreadsheets, I have everything. And it's a really awesome thing to be a part of because I train with Greg. I know Greg, you see him in all sorts of things. I know what a really
you're his triathlon mom. You make sure he has all his stuff for triathlon.
Right. So we do that. And so I'm just like, okay, well, he's my, I got to take care of him. This is my.
Did you bring your shoes? Right. Those sorts of things.
Socks,
yeah.
Really. Yeah.
Do you have goggles?
Yeah. Go get some. So
Kitty shark goggles.
Right. So and I know Greg's a really impressive athlete and that's the other thing is he brings to this. And so, I see him through all of this. So in my mind, there's no doubt he's going to do it. But then I also remember, I thought the same thing about it at Dino Valley. When he first started, I'm like, there's no way he's not going to finish. This is Greg, of course. And boy, that was real touch and go for a while, but
yeah,
it was real.
Wow, touch and go, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, thank God for Coca-Cola. I mean, that's just
32 ounces of warm, flat Coca-Cola got me back in it.
Magic. This is so, and throughout this, it was really interesting to see the progression of it. You would see him at each successive one more tired, more miles, but, like Eric talked about, there just was there was no down moments. There was never anything. There was always just this forward motion. He was always clear-headed. He was always cracking jokes. I mean, it was really, kind of an impressive thing. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, we're going to do this. So I need to make sure I get to all my places whenever I need to get it. I need to make sure people are with me or not with me because I had very strict instructions as to who could go where because Jess had to be sleeping and Eric had to be napping and Ninja had to be. So, and like I said, it was just awesome to be a part of and not have to run. I thrive on no sleep. I have trained my whole life to go to do stuff on no sleep. So it wasn't bad. I think I slept a total over the course of it 5 hours, maybe,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
That is impressive.
Yeah, but you just keep going. And again, Greg keeps going. So am I gonna, be like, oh, I'm tired from driving.
It is hard to complain when the person you're supporting has been awake for
that's exactly
20, 30, then 40. Yeah.
Right. We're at the second sunrise or whatever, it's like, shit, but again, Greg was very clear-headed. So we knew what he wanted at everything. And, we brought him the Burger King hamburger and then we brought him barbecue sandwich. And then he really liked that. Well, then we brought
imagine eating that in the middle. Ew.
Two barbecue sandwiches. Gigantic barbecue sandwiches.
That's second.
My stomach hurt just thinking about it right now.
It was outstanding.
I don't see my stomach doesn't ever. That's not a thing. I can eat whatever I want.
My stomach is very finicky.
See, I'm like you.
A lot.
I'm like you. I'm like, I'll eat mashed potatoes or ramen, and he's just macking these things down. I mean,
wow.
He looked like a golden retriever on a bowl.
Well, had there been mashed potatoes or ramen or any of those options available, I probably would have eaten them. But there was
soup. There was soup at aid stations. There was soup that was offered.
Yeah,
I was tired of the same soup.
It was okay.
But more than the burgers or the barbecue, what he wanted was to see the kids, and that was
That's true.
That was
true.
the best.
Yeah,
that's the only thing he would say is, man, I hope I get to see the kids. I want to see the kids.
So that was
sweet.
a very concerted effort. And
I think I finally saw him at what mile?
It's when he drops me.
It was the ninja handoff. Yeah.
Would have been mile 80. It's either 80 or 85.
Yeah.
So that was a big lift seeing them because Connor's just so fired up about all of it. He wants to know if I'm winning, why I'm not winning, if I can win, right? And then he also caught me up on all the basketball scores, right? Because he's super obsessed with all that right now. Told me all about, the Grizzlies had been eliminated, the whole thing, right? So
Cool.
it was good. And then boom, next thing you know, you're at mile 85. And sounds close. Sounds close.
No, it's not. It's not close at all.
It's not close. So Ninja and I we actually do agree on a lot of things. We give each other a lot of shit, but we agree on a lot of things. And one of the things we agree on is sort of how like 100 miles breaks down, right? And in my mind, the race doesn't start until 60, 65, right? Like mile 80 in my mind is halfway, right? Like you're about halfway there because that next 20 miles is going to be brutal, right? Things get even more complicated at Cruel Jewel when, like, first of all, it's not 100 miles. It's supposed to be 106 miles, but it's not anywhere near 106 miles, right? It's somewhere between 111 and 114, and all of the aid stations are not anywhere near like what they say it's going to be. I mean, sometimes they're off by, a mile, right? And it's not that big of a deal early in the race, but in that last 23 miles, man,
it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
When you're just, I mean, there were times I was like, he's lost. He doesn't know where he's going. Like Ninja got us lost out here. We are on the wrong trail. We're never going to find the hot dogs.
Or the Chick-fil-A.
I gave up on the Chick-fil-A.
It really hurts my time projections because they would have been right if the mileage had been right. So as we go through certain, get through certain aid stations, I'll update the spreadsheet and like, okay, we're going to be here. You might want to wake up, originally when I started, it's like, okay, we wake up this time and be there for the finish. And, the first section was really good. And Greg made up about like 30 minutes, I think. And I was like, okay, they need to wake up earlier or else they're going to miss the big finish. So I updated, and then next thing you know, it's the next section is like a mile longer, which at a good pace that he's doing is 20 minutes. I was like, okay, this sets us back a little bit. And then the next section is the same thing where we should have been there 30 minutes ago, and everything gets spread out. And those aid stations they're just so long. And I get that, the race wants to feel hard, but just for the sake of planning, just put the mileages right so we can
just tell people it's 112 miles.
The spreadsheet has to be right.
Yes.
Yeah.
The spreadsheet has to be right.
It was still staggeringly close, even with the mileage.
Oh yeah.
It was. I mean,
spreadsheets are always close.
I'm a believer.
It was really, really impressive.
Yeah.
And I knew, first of all, I kind of talked about how I was looking forward to the first section and the last section, right? I knew if I could just figure out a way to make it to Ninja, I'd be okay. I knew that, because I was going to get excited about like how difficult it was going to be. For some reason they sound stupid, but I was just excited about that challenge. The other reason is I knew a little bit about the initial couple of climbs because I'd done them a few times or a couple times because it was part of it was what we did in the 50K. But also, I mean, Ninja's a fantastic pacer. He knows what he's doing. I will tell you, don't think you're going to run with Ninja as a pacer. That's not how that works.
No, we don't.
Ninja's 50, 60, 70, 100 yards up ahead of you the whole time. And you're just chasing him the whole time.
Yeah. So yeah, if anybody wants my pacing help, I pace from the front. And if you're really, it's different. Greg was doing great. So I know where he's at. I can hear him. So I'm a little bit further ahead and I'm trying to pull him along a different way. If he actually hit a low point or when I could hear his post flying in the air or clickety clack of him falling, then I'll come back. or if I hear some grunting, we get a little bit closer. But he's doing fine. So that's just the way I pace from the front and
you
try to
made me
help people
chase.
along. And he was good the whole time. He definitely when we sat down at chairs at the aid station, and I was like, okay, you get take 5 minutes, and his eyes would close and he'd be out. And he would eat, and he did everything I asked of him. Sometimes he wanted to take off his shoes to take a look at his feet, and I was like, well, there's nothing we can do about your feet. There's no.
Yeah.
We looked at him early. He didn't have blisters. They hurt, and they hurt because he was doing a really hard race.
Yeah.
So there's, we take your shoes off, we might not get those shoes back on. So there's nothing to look at. We would loose them, we would relace things, but it was just a little bit just to make him feel better. But there's nothing that we could help his feet. So we just, okay, we're just gonna leave your feet on.
Yeah.
Leave your shoes on, and we're just gonna keep going. So he, I fed him tater tots. I mama birded him. Well, I didn't do it from my mouth, but I was
And also
tater tots.
the Coke.
Yeah.
We had our Coke in our little flask, and when I really got down to the last 7 or 8 miles, I would just scream ninja, and then he'd be waiting for me the next intersection, and I wouldn't even stop. He would just squirt it into my mouth.
Coke, and I fed him tater tots, and sometimes he licked my finger. It's kind of weird, but it's fine.
Into it.
So
You were into it.
But that's just part of the pacing.
Definitely weird.
So it's just he honestly, he did great. It's obviously very hard. I planned to be out there for 12 hours. I think we did in like 10, 11 hours.
Yeah.
You did great. I'm honestly, we passed. I lost count on how many people we passed. I think the only people that passed us were 50 milers, and I think we passed a bunch of 50 milers as well. So
especially at the finish, very on brand, sprinting into the finish.
The hot dogs finally at Fish Gap were a big player, and Jen, some people said it saved their race.
I've heard that before, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
There was a guy at Fish Gap. And it happened. I don't think they were able to say.
Oh yeah.
There was a guy at Fish Gap that quit the race with 8 miles left to go, and tons and tons and tons and tons of time.
Is it
by himself?
The hot dogs?
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
Okay, here's what happened. We came into Fish Gap and saw hot dogs. I was like, "Can I get a hot dog?" And next thing you know, I want a hot dog. And
He's right.
She was like, she grilled up like a dozen hot dogs, and everybody was happy.
Yeah, it's almost like people were sick of eating grilled cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I can't do that either because the cheese is too greasy. I can't do that greasy.
No, because it's always just like the American cheese. You know what I mean? It's just.
Yeah, no, So
you ate a ham quesadilla, I remember, at an aid station. You had the ham quesadilla.
I don't do ham either.
It was not
Pop-Tarts, Colleen.
Now the Pop-Tarts, yeah. The apple cinnamon Pop-Tarts.
Dude,
They didn't
that'd
have
be
any
good.
breakfast food, and then
Those
you kind of
were-
get that. That's weird.
No, there was never any like pancakes or
no.
none of that.
So what's this about you going down the hill on your ass?
Oh yeah. Well, let's talk about my feet, right? So that was really the driver of that situation. I'm not ashamed of it. My feet really hurt. And I guess it's just something I have to, I would work on if I was ever going to run again, but I'm not. But if I was going to pick something to work on, right, it would just be mentally dealing with the fact that like my feet really, really hurt. Like I was certain like they were completely destroyed. Like they looked like hamburger meat. Like I couldn't descend. Like every single thing I did that was not just like a normal step just was it was excruciating, right? And so I mentioned that on the Dragon Spine on the way back, there are some pretty tricky descents that are a little bit more technical than really what I wanted. And
it was wet. It was
wet.
Yeah, muddy,
It was wet.
slippery.
So I just gave up. The answer to your question is I gave up. I was no longer going to try to kind of gingerly step down this stuff. So I just laid down and slid a couple of times, just slid. Now, the challenging part about this was it was taking a long time and there were like 9 people stacked up behind me, and I wouldn't let them pass either. So like they were going to wait for me to slide down this rock and just kind of roll over a couple of times.
I loved you.
Yeah.
People
Hey,
usually do.
that bib's on, the race is on. That's we're not, you gotta win any way you know how.
So what's next? What 100-miler is next?
So we just bought gravel bikes this week. So I anticipate a lot of gravel
You
biking.
do some shredding.
We did
Gonna
some
shred the
shredding.
gravel?
We shredded the shit out of some things. It was good.
It was
Some
gnarly.
tire issues. That was a bit of a challenge. So I think I'm going to get into gravel biking. I'm going to try to do that. Get some tires on the gravel bike, I think, and
We're all
I don't
going
know,
to
maybe find like a
Unbound
200
in
mile.
Leadville next year.
What's that?
I said,
No,
are we
no.
taking you to Leadville next year or
Yeah.
Unbound?
Well, Ninja says
You're
that
gonna win Leadville on a gravel bike just to prove me wrong.
maybe. I need to get some practice on some more technical stuff. Although today on the road tires was a challenge, right? It's a good way to train
You
for
did
anything.
amazing on those skinny ass tires on the gravel.
So your
Probably pretty
buddy Nick wants to know how you recovered. So I know you wanted to try to swim the day after, but
No, we were in
I
Georgia. I
didn't.
couldn't swim.
yeah, I thought you were gonna
Maybe
just jump in the
day
lake.
After that, yes.
I swam the day after.
Yes.
I swam about 1,000 yards the day after. So that's for me. That's it's like 20 minutes just swimming, easy. I'll be honest, my quads and my hamstrings never got sore at all. Like that Tuesday
Wow.
when I was at home, I didn't feel them. So I was just like, let me see if this is real. And I ripped out some air squats just to see like if I was really not sore, and I wasn't sore at all. I was retaining a lot of water from my knees down, and everything hurt from my knees down, feet, ankles, calves, like all that stuff hurt. But my quads never really gave me a problem. The weekend after, what did we rode 45 miles? And I really was not, wasn't any worse for wear, to be honest with you. But I took it really easy that week.
You're a freak.
So how was the first run though?
But I was going to say, but running is.
Running is still not a thing for me right now.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a thing. So I
There we
tried to
go.
run for the first time on Saturday off the bike. So we rode 45, and I was like, well, let me just see if I can run off the bike. So I
let's
got a
do a
mile.
brick.
Right.
What's
why
that?
not?
I said, let's just do a brick. Which by
Oh,
the way,
yeah. That's the kind of
Yeah,
workout. Yeah.
just run off the bike. Just go for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
It was so hard. I'm not gonna.
After, no big deal.
It was so hard. It was so hard. I mean, certainly there's probably some fatigue playing a part, but like, it was like my legs, I'd never run one step in my life. Like I was literally just learning to run for the first time. It was so bad. And then yesterday I'm still trying to like get a lot of vertical in just to keep in shape. So I was on the treadmill hiking. And so after I hiked on the treadmill for about 40 minutes, I try to just like jog at like a 10-minute pace, and there's none of that. So I may actually be done running because I physically can't anymore. I don't know. Like something's wrong with my hips.
He is
Oh,
such
wait.
this many,
I think
many,
it's a
thought
little
that,
early to
uh,
make that determination.
many times.
I heard
What's
something
that?
about bear. I heard something about bear 100.
Ooh.
Jessica wants to do
that
bear.
next year.
I'm thinking
Oh,
about
Jessica
there.
wants to do bear.
Ooh. Hey, that's on my list for next year.
It's 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. That would be when I do it. So
What's the date?
end of
September.
Remember?
End of September.
I mean, I
Is
might
that-
maybe.
Greg, does that work for you?
Oh, I don't know. I have to just look. I'm only. What's the buckle look like?
That's
Well,
pretty
you
nice.
wouldn't do it. You'd have to
Are
help
we
me.
really doing this? You're going to run it because of the buckle?
No, he has to help me, Jen. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's
it's a pretty sweet buckle.
how that all started. Yeah. I mean, have you seen Nano Valley's buckle? I had to get above that.
Yep.
What's Ninja doing?
I mean, that's what the Oh shit, where's the camera at? Oh, that's what it looks like. Classic.
Oh, that is cool. Is that are those bears fighting each other?
Yeah. Or
Oh
kissing.
yeah, I'll do that one.
But if you can go under 30 hours, you get a better buckle. But don't worry about
I
that.
don't
That's
think I'm
not
gonna go
gonna
under
happen.
30. I don't think I'd go
Oh,
under
no,
30
I
hours of
know.
Rocky.
I watched a YouTube and it was the first few miles, like that's the hardest, right? That's 3,600 feet of gain in the first 8 miles in bear.
It's not that hard.
Well, I mean, that's the hardest part. I mean, it's still, there's a lot more.
Oh yeah, it's
go
a
right
good
out the gate.
climb. I think you run by Post Malone's mansion out there. It starts out in a really fancy neighborhood, and you just climb. You just climb up this road, and there's really nice houses out there, and you're up in a canyon, and then it's a great point-to-point race, and you finish at a really pretty lake.
Well, point to point, that is good.
You go through 2 states.
You pick it.
I don't think I'm ever going to run a looped race.
You pick
That's more than.
Yeah, I mean,
Good
you're
loops.
only looking for races that give you street cred. This is one of them.
Yeah, it's probably what I'm going to do. I'll probably do bear next year.
You can't.
Wow.
You're not listening.
A race. You
I don't
just
think-
Oh, you
race.
can
That's
you guys.
not
You can do it
normal.
too.
together
You can do it
How can
too.
I do it too?
Yeah, you run
It's
together.
your
That
turn.
works
It's
out
your
well.
turn to crew,
My
Greg.
second
It's your
100, I
turn
don't
to
need a
crew.
pacer.
Plenty of people can pace.
So your third one, you're saying
Nick.
you need more.
Nick would love to pace you at bear. Nick,
Except, no. Except Jess gets your crew for bear because you've already used them twice.
Right. Yeah. You
So
might have to
who's
go
yours?
solo then.
all right, Nick can pace me at bear. Nick's the only other runner I can think of right now.
I bet you can come up with a couple more.
Oh my gosh.
So maybe I won't be able to do bear. What other races are out there that people care about?
You talked about I can't think of the other one in
Oh,
Colorado.
Wasatch.
Oh, what about
Wasatch.
you, Ray?
Ray.
Hooray.
You would
Yes.
never finish.
Oh.
Here comes the hashtag Dreammaker at it again.
Oh,
You got 52 hours to finish that one.
I think that was
I'm a year
challenge.
Ninja.
Wow.
I'm a year more mature. I'm not gonna fall for that.
Well, maybe you should start with the 50.
And I
You're not gonna fall. You're not gonna fall for that.
Nick says he's in for pacing.
Oh, there you go.
Well, there you go.
Nick's
back
got
on
a
it.
Nick's. When is Nick's 100?
Yeah, you should.
Wait.
let's see.
Nick, which one are you? You're doing Dino
Yeah.
Valley, aren't you?
Yeah, I think.
Oh yeah.
Can
We'll
help
see
you
if
out
he
at Dino
chimes in.
Valley. I know the tips and the tricks.
Loop courses are good for the first one.
I agree. They
Oh,
are.
I mean, I know it sucks. And after you do a course that's not a bunch of loops, you're like, I'll never do loops again. But it really is good when you're figuring out, because there's a lot of lessons to be learned in your first, at least your first one, if not your first few. And the loop courses are just a little more forgiving because you always come back to the same spot and you have your stuff.
I agree.
Have your
I
stuff.
agree.
I agree
Nick
with that.
confirms.
It's just
Nick
and
confirms
honestly,
Dino.
I would say this though also about the loop. Yeah, it sucks, but the mental training you get from how bad that sucks, there's something to be said for that, right? It's the same thing as Colleen, I know you do this sometimes, I do it. When we're training for triathlons or any endurance sport, sure, would I much rather be outside riding my bike for hours with my friends and training that way? I would, but I also know that there's a lot of benefit to sitting in my tiny guest bedroom with the space heater and the humidifier going for 5 hours because of the mental training and the aspect of just sitting there with no external stimulus. I mean, I've done that before too, where I just turn off all the lights and ride on the trainer and just try to make it as mentally difficult as possible just so that it makes the other stuff a little easier.
You're like Baby Goggins.
Who?
Baby Goggins.
Oh,
Who?
God, no, don't, no. I tried to read that guy's book. I mean,
Yeah, I have issues.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
issues with him too.
I want no. He's a
The Navy SEAL, right?
he's a narcissist, right? That's coming from a narcissist. That guy, he's just. It's just no. I'm not a fan at all. I'm also not a fan of the people with like, these, they make the whole thing about these like crazy human interest piece. Like nobody like, look, there's few and far between or there's stories that are sort of worth telling, right? I think there's been a couple in our sort of ecosystem that fit that bill, right? But like in general, nobody cares. Like nobody cares, right? Like whatever reason you're out there doing things, like that's good. Keep that to yourself. Go have a good time with your friends, and just be done with it.
Well,
You can always count on Greg to tell the truth.
That's right.
He sees it.
Hey, I mean, it's just part of it. Running
Yeah.
100 miles. What did Ninja say? Running 100 miles hurts. It's hard.
Yeah.
It just is. That was one of the things I did learn with like when I first time we tried to do Rocky, right? Is like you're never going to train your way into making it easy. Like that's not a thing unless you're a freak, right? I mean, even then, I don't think even the
Not
freaks that
easy.
are out there, I still think it's hard for them. You're never going to train your way through it, right? You might be able to train your way to be a little faster through the hard parts, but you're not going to train your way to make it an easy race.
I will say, Greg, for you, all the training you did, you made it seem easy for you. I mean, you ran this race incredibly well. I mean,
Well, I appreciate that. It also
sure.
wasn't incredibly fast. It still took me 42 hours, right?
It was
I
Cruel
took my time.
Joel.
yeah.
That's
No,
true.
But it was Cruel Joel. I mean, it has a 48-hour cutoff for a reason.
yeah,
Because
for a
it's
reason.
freaking hard. And I was pretty inspired too. I don't cry, but I got a little tear in my eye when you finished. I did.
Well, that means a lot, Jen. I appreciate that.
Dang.
I mean, that was pretty inspirational. I mean, I get excited for people, but that one, your race was pretty special. It was pretty fun.
Well, I appreciate that.
It was a lot of fun.
I did work hard. I don't work
You
hard
did,
in a lot
yeah.
of these types of things, but I did.
He
I
did
did
work hard.
I did
on this
focus.
one. He did.
I even went on a diet with 3 weeks to go.
Which
Yeah,
is the
I heard
worst
about
idea
that.
ever.
I heard about that and I was like, what the hell is he doing? Like,
Oh, let's
Yeah.
clarify. Let's clarify what the diet was. All I did was stop eating trail mix and chips. That was it. That was the diet.
okay.
I lost 12 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe you could do that, a little further out.
I don't
Yeah.
do moderation.
No, he
That's
does not.
true.
I'm either all in or I'm all out.
Yeah, we figured
All in or all out. What else do you guys want to talk about? I mean, we have a lot we can get to. We're only an hour and 19 minutes into this.
No, I mean,
Going
with
through all my
the
questions.
Greg had some
kinda
topics.
dropping.
Greg, you had your own topics, don't you? Don't you have some hot
Yeah.
points?
Oh,
Yeah.
Points.
Yeah. Can you go get me a water? I got to get into my. Oh, you have a water.
All right, go ahead. Let's go ahead and riff. Let's see it. What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about bike groups.
All right.
So, I mean, the bike is a huge part of my training because I don't like to run. So I'm on the bike a lot, and it's a really effective training tool, especially, in fact, Ninja as the resident sort of expert here, right? You and Jen, you recently made a post on Instagram or one of the things you're on, talking about how valuable it is to get bike training in and find a group of people that can push you, right? That whole thing. It's a really important thing. You know what's not a very effective way to train? To sit in a Peloton for a few hours and just move those legs and then head on back to the bike shop and drink beer and pretend like you did something. That's not training. That's not what we're doing, right? Get out there by yourself, sit in the wind, pedal for 100 miles. That's training. That'll benefit you, right? Get on the Peloton, right? Log it on the Peloton. Use the space heater. Use the humidifier. Close the door. Don't turn any fans on, right? Get good heat training going. You don't do any of that at a bike club.
I'll agree. Where riding with you guys, where I'm the one struggling to hang on is good for everyone. So you definitely need to be challenged by, same bike with people that are stronger with you, run with people that are stronger with you, where they'll push you a little bit harder than you would be pushed by yourself. So
And then
Yeah.
you run across a bike group while you're out there.
And then want to knife someone.
And they want to
Start a
tussle.
rumble.
That's right. They're always looking for a tussle. Always want to try to climb with somebody. Talk about how I don't care. You've got a $9,000 titanium bike. Give a shit about that. It's all about the engine that sits on top of the bike, right? It's ridiculous.
They're triggered by the tri-bike. That's their problem, Greg.
They are. They're triggered by the tri-bike. I think that's exactly right. They can't swim. That's probably the issue. They can't swim. They can't swim.
All right, you got one more hot topic before we get banned from YouTube. So make it good.
One more, make it.
Where'd my sheet go?
Oh, I didn't take your sheet.
Oh wow, he had his own talking points.
He had his own sheets.
I don't need to riff on anything else. I was going to talk about online dating, but
Yeah, no. Okay, this is a good spot to end. So
Yeah.
you don't want to talk about online dating?
no. I don't want to talk
You
about
wanna-
that.
Not
Okay.
here.
No.
Oh, okay.
We'll save it for your your networking ATM podcast.
I didn't get to ask you any questions.
Well, you're not the host. All right, why don't you ask? Let's hear your question then.
Yeah. Well, I got many.
Oh God, this will be good.
Let's just talk about social media influencers. What are the best practices, right? Like, what's the fine line between being an influencer and being the real deal, right? Do you see a lot of that in your space where you got a lot of people out there that are taking good pictures, that are showing all the things and everything like that? But are they really out there doing it like you're doing it?
Is that a question for Jen?
It's a question
Okay, well, it's clearly not a question for me because I hardly ever post anything on social media regarding. I'm definitely not an influencer.
Oh, that's a Ninja thing. I'm just really like, what do you see that's out there, right? Do you see a lot of things out there, Ninja, where you got people who are influencers or posting things, right? Lots of different stuff on there.
Yeah.
But like,
Okay. Yeah. So, on a serious note, I think it's important to be genuine. So, for me personally, you have to ride a fine line. I want to support any brands that I'm an ambassador for, but I'm also only gonna be ambassador for something that I use. So let's take Spring Energy. I used them for a long time before I was like, oh, they have an ambassador program, and I don't get a whole lot out of it personally. I do it. Most of them I get discounts, so we can have the people that I coach get a discount. So, but everything for me at least, it should be genuine.
talk about Path. Talk about Path.
Oh well, okay. So Path, I do actually get not financial, but they have supported me in the past, Path project, and they came out to Flo came out to Cocodona for 5 days and chased us around the desert and took awesome photos. And I basically have like 3 years of content that I can, if I don't want to take GoPro pictures of myself jumping around the trail, I can just do that. And they were very kind because I was like, okay, these two donkeys need better gear, so at least we'll look matchy for Cruel Jewels. So I'm like, hey, can I use my ambassador discount to buy these guys some gear? And I was like, no, hey, they sent me a gift card. It's like, just get what you need for them. And at least we look good while we were shuffling around out there.
So I'll talk about Path. About Path. So I had two really interesting conversations about Path, right? So there was this guy that was out there.
Yeah, there's a few people out there I saw.
There was this guy, and he was the most irritating thing I've ever seen in my life, right? This guy, I talked to him finally after I'd been irritated with him for 90 miles, right? He had the full ponytail braids in, right? He didn't run one step of the race. He didn't run one step. I did beat him. He didn't run one step. And so I started seeing him probably around mile 10, mile 15. This guy trained to be able to hike at like a 12.5-minute pace. And he just stayed flat out, like just flying, right? So he and I were chatting, probably mile 75, 80, something like that. And he was just like, I love Path. He's like, I'll never wear anything else but Path. It's a great brand. He just raved about it, right? Talks about the quality. I'm not super familiar with it. This is the first time I've really gone with like a long race, but he's owned a number of things for a number of years, and he's never gone back. So I think that's a testament from somebody who's maybe been wearing this stuff longer than we have, right? So I think a really good story there. I think maybe the best story is this. Anybody who's run a long way knows that that shower after the race is both the best feeling in the world and the worst feeling in the world, right? Once you get that first trickle of soapy water running down your ass, the burn, the sting, right, of all of that can be absolutely tear jerking, right? I did not have one part of my body that was chafed after Cruel Jewel. Not
That's
one.
impressive.
No chafing,
Impressive.
zero chafing. And that's, I think, a big testament to the types of products that Path puts out. Hashtag I'm an ambassador too. Let me know.
He did not want to change his clothes either. He just because
Well, who would change
Yeah.
clothes? I don't even understand
You
why
did wear
someone would
the
change
same
Some
clothes.
people
clothes the
do
whole
change
time.
clothes.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but some people
Pretty
do.
good.
yeah.
I've
no,
changed
just-
socks.
I changed it
We
wrong
changed
because
socks,
I had
yeah.
a 30
I
degrees.
usually put a dry shirt on going into night,
Yeah.
going in
Yeah.
overnight, but I don't like. I usually, if it's a race where it's going to get cool overnight, I'll just have pants that I can pull over my shorts. I'm with you, Greg. That changing clothes is bullshit.
I'm not very good at I'm not very mobile in the first place, but after even 20, 30, 40, 50 miles, right? Like I can't pick my legs up and like get them into a pair. Like I can't do any of that. I can't do any of that. I can't believe people who can. So let's see. Path, Spring. I think they were the rock stars of of the race, and certainly you can't do that stuff unless you've got good nutrition in your
socks?
clothes.
Shout
Sorry?
out to your socks. Shout out to your socks.
Yes.
Socks.
Socks.
My exoskins.
Socks. Yes. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, the exoskins. I think I actually wore exoskin
Liners.
liners. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wore those, and I wore the socks, right, which are always very, very easily identifiable in the
Those
photos,
socks, yeah.
right? I don't talk a lot about exoskin because it's something I've been wearing for a long time. Like it's the go-to for liners. It's the go-to for socks, the toe socks. I've never had any problems with it. I've learned my lesson from the first time I ran more than 50 miles, which was at Black Canyon in 2019, when I didn't wear trail shoes and I didn't wear toe socks, didn't even prepare at all. Didn't even have clothes to wear after the race.
Didn't you put your arm sleeves on your legs so you wouldn't freeze at the end of the race?
That's correct. It was cold. It was very cold.
Yeah.
That's right.
I felt really sorry for you when I was wearing my puffy and my hoodie and my pants.
I was freezing. And then
Well, I wasn't
we didn't
gonna
really
share
know.
with
We
you.
didn't know anything about, like, that was, again, like, I didn't sign up for that. I didn't choose to
Oh,
run that
you
race.
putting this on, Jess?
I
Yeah.
think he is. Yeah, I think he is.
I remember a funny story from that. I believe it was your dad that asked you where Jess is, and you were like, I don't know. She's
Yeah. He was like, where's Jess? I was
back
like, I have no idea. She's not with me.
she's behind me somewhere.
He's like, you left her in the middle of the desert in the middle of the night. He's like, yeah.
I was ready
I
to
was
be
like,
done.
it's okay. I told myself that because he like yelled at him in front of me. It's like, it is okay. It's okay.
I was ready to be done. You're fine. I left you with like 10 miles
Yeah,
left.
I mean, it was.
I was ready to be
10
done.
miles.
I was
Yeah,
feeling
it was more
good.
Like 6.
I was
Yeah,
feeling
it
good.
Was dark, and I was like,
You did not look good.
I
looked very
flew.
bad.
I was down at sub 8 minute pace for the last couple of
No,
miles.
that doesn't
the
work
last
out.
few miles of that wasn't bad, but yeah.
I can't believe we haven't told the Dino Valley story, which then did happen again at Cruel Jewel, right? Where I started flying at the end, thinking I was going to pass somebody, and it turns out they were not even running the same distance race.
Always forever
the damnest
passing
thing.
50 milers.
to see you go from being almost dead, barely able to shuffle, and then someone goes past you, and how dare they, that personal attack on my character, and it goes from a shuffle to where he's running a fucking 8-10 pace down.
All you gotta do is say there's a light ahead. Let's chase him. And it's on.
It's like a
Well, yeah, but at Cruel Jewel, man, those lights got disheartening, right? Because it's not the light's not always ahead.
Yeah.
The light is sometimes way up here, and you're like, oh no, I've got to get up there. I have to get up there where that light is. Like how like I can't. Like my heart's already beating hard. And then like 10 minutes later, you're there and you're looking at some donkey down there that is probably struggling with how they're going to get up. And you feel good about it.
It's those little wins.
It's those little wins. That's right.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. I think this sounds like a good spot to end. Depending on what the metrics look at, maybe we'll have you back on. You never know. Maybe after you do your gravel 100, right, Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the 18th. It's the 18th.
Yeah.
Anybody else out there that wants to do at least 100 miles on gravel on June 18th?
Yeah.
You guys are going to be in Wyoming.
One month from now, he just got a gravel bike and he wants to ride 100 miles of gravel.
First ride today.
Yeah.
How'd that
Well,
go?
all right, let's hang on a second. So,
Oh, here we go. I can do anything on a bike.
well, no, what I said was anything you can do on a bike, I can do. That's what I said.
Yeah.
So
I've
Look.
ridden 210 miles on a bike. I don't know.
well, I'm thinking, all right, so riding 100 on gravel is probably the equivalent of riding like 125, 130 on the road. I'd sign up for that.
Maybe.
150, I don't care. I'll sign up for that. As long as I don't have to run.
But he wants to do bear.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's a year away. More than a year away. I might find like a different race. What are some other races that are out there with some street cred?
Street cred.
Just look up all the hard rock qualifiers.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to. I mean, you bailed out a Bighorn. At least Jess is going to go by herself, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, we were doing the 50. By the way, I'm starting to see a lot of races pop up where they're giving buckles out for the 50s, or they're giving out medals. They're giving out medals that look like buckles.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That bothers me too. Or if you do like 3 days and you equal 60, 100K. No.
Don't put that on Facebook. Don't put that on Facebook. That's the opposite of street cred.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of street
friends.
cred. Man, I have all the friends I need right here.
Good point.
All the friends I need. We have to bring somebody else into the group if we're going to be doing like races worth more than one of us, because we have to find somebody else to pace. So we're looking for candidates.
Yeah, exactly.
We're looking for candidates. We're taking applications. So
you already got Nick on board.
Now you got Nick.
Nick's on in a probationary phase.
You hear that, Nick? I think he's still watching. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone coming on. This was very entertaining. I'm sure we're just gonna go viral. Congratulations on Cruel Jewel 100. You're gonna stand up or something? Yeah.
We didn't even address the uncoachable thing when you called me uncoachable.
Well, you kind of are, despite what your 7-year-old coach says. Yeah.
We still can't find that either, so I don't know if it exists.
1997.
Yeah.
It exists. If my parents were listening, my dad will confirm that was a plaque that I've got.
Okay, well, ask your dad to comment on Facebook when we upload to confirm. All right.
I will.
All right. Appreciate everyone coming on.
All right.
Have a good
See you
night.
guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.